Look good there, Annette. Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order at 1:30 on Tuesday, March the 2nd. Are there any additions to the agenda? We're going to start with Mayor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I'd like to add the Bell Let's Talk grant. Annette just sent out the email. Time is of the essence. We apologize for the late addition, but the grant app is due on March 15th and our next meeting is until March 16th. So I'd like to add that as number 9, please.
Okay. Anything else, Mayor Murphy?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Buchwald.
Nothing, thank you.
Councillor Patrick.
Nothing, thanks.
Councillor Rosner.
Nothing to add.
Okay. Can I get a confirmation of the agenda? Merv? Is there any pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Everybody had a chance to read the minutes for last meeting? Can I get an approval? Jen, all in favor? Okay. Okay, we have a delegation today. We have Heather Park-Wheeler and Kevin Detto, or is it Dito?
It's Ditto, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Okay, regarding a dog park in Eganville, you have the floor till 1:50.
Well, thank you very much, Councillor Shizen.
You're
And
welcome.
I understand, Mayor Murphy, that we are to go through you reading the deputation regulations, so I will address everything to you as stated, unless you would like me to address.
Actually, Heather.
Yeah.
Since this is a committee meeting, Tim is actually the chair of this committee. And so you can address things through him, but keep in mind, we're pretty casual at our committee. And,
Okay.
and you have a limited amount of time,
Yes.
so.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah. So I was delighted to meet Kevin walking through the village recently, and he's a new resident in the township of Bonnechere Valley, in the village specifically, and an avid dog lover as well. And so in chatting with him, I've formed a new friendship and bond over pursuing this dog park. So we got to a really great place last year with the presentation of the Township of Bonnechere Valley Dog Park Plan. And I believe that was started with Steve. Brent for sure had a lot to do with it. I think Mark and probably Jason as well went and looked at land. So I guess at this point, I'm hoping that we can say that we are still on the same page with regard to that particular plan. And then we would like to have some planning information going forward to help us to get rolling. So I sent some late questions to Annette. One of them was to do with sort of a start date. We're hoping that you'll tell us that, yes, this plan is in place. Yes, the location is still on. And this is our plan for starting the project. And of course, we would like to know how we can help. We would like to ask for a written timetable so that we have, you know, clear objectives that need to be met on behalf of our team to get our things done. And I'm assuming that the first phase would be to clear out the trees. Brent and I certainly looked at those last year. Clear out the trees and get the land plowed or graded, and wondering when that will be done. And then we'd like a clear definition of what is expected from the dog owners group, and again, by what dates. So I'm not sure if you can answer any questions at this time. If you can, that's great. If you cannot, then I'm going to pass it over to Kevin to get in some words as well while we're here. Councillor Shizen.
Okay, yeah. Questions yet from the rest of council, or everybody's good? Go ahead there, Kevin. Oh, okay, Jen, sorry.
Sorry, thanks, Chair. I was just wondering, I'm thrilled to know that you two have formulated some questions for us. And I'm a fan of off-leash dog parks. I do though, do you have a committee for fundraising efforts going forward if the township does the work in kind? Thank you.
Yes, last year I did a lot of work, just, meeting people who had dogs and chatting with them. And I have a list of at least 15 people. And I'm sure Kevin's got probably 15 new people that I've never met as well. So we want to know what kind of fundraising we would take on, and are good to go and eager to go if we have an idea of what amount of money we need to raise and by what date. Kevin, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, thank you, Heather. And thank you, everyone, again. My small role in here right now and dropping in on this thing, I just wanted to, I'm glad to be part of it. Heather's just one of the number of great people I've met since I've been here just in late fall and end of October. What a great town you have here. But everyone I've met is because I walk my dogs for hours and out and about. So that's how I've met many of the residents here, and it's just been wonderful. So I will happy to be part of anything that I can do to help. My background in sales and marketing is going to come in handy, I would think, with the fundraising aspect of this, whatever is put into our laps. Heather and I have discussed of what all the heavy lifting she's already done up to this point with a lot of help from everybody. And I'd like to see it keep going, but with the fundraising capabilities, they may lie into private public partnership sort of deals. We've discussed how to get involved with some of the local businesses to make sure it's a win-win for everyone, getting them involved for donations, but driving people to their businesses, just like a community of dog owners and friends would do in the future as we become a group, even a tighter group in this community. And then plus Heather has already outlined some of the larger companies that we hope to have at least maybe one or two more of the platinum sponsorships kind of deal that we might be able to work on. And that's where definitely I might be able to help out. Mm-hmm. Getting people to spend money is what I do in my job. So let's hope it bears fruit when it comes time. But I'm confident with everyone that I've spoken with and Heather that we have a pretty good momentum going with this, and excited to see how far we can take it.
Mm-hmm. I would like.
Merv had a question there.
Sorry, Heather. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to give a kind of a broad answer in my mind. First of all, nothing is going to happen until after half loads are off.
After secondly, what? I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Until after
half loads are off. The spring breakup, the half loads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's probably going to be May. I believe we had a sort of a rough draft of a fence, the cost, if it is in the right location. So I know it doesn't help much, but
well, it's
to give specific times, I don't know.
Okay, Heather.
Well, it's great to hear that you're on board, Merv. Appreciate that. I just wanted to follow up on what Kevin said about businesses in the village. And I wanted to just elaborate and say that we are not planning to go and ask for handouts from the businesses of the village because that doesn't seem right. But Kevin has a great marketing idea, and perhaps we should present it to you now just to see what your reaction is to it. And that would be to look for items or discounts or whatever from local businesses. So they're not giving us money, but they might be promising that if someone comes in and buys a donut or buys a loaf of sourdough, they get a free coffee. So we're hoping to do it that way. And so in the end, I don't know if any of you are as old as me and remember the coupon books from years ago. My kids used to sell them in school. But they were always great. So they were made up of a variety of different things. Could be all kinds of different services, but they would decide what they would like to offer to a patron who came in. And someone who wanted to say buy our book for X dollars, let's say it was $35, they would have this variety of coupons to choose from and would decide then, oh yes, I would use this one and I would use that one. Sure, this is worth supporting. So I just wanted to put that out there to see what you think about that, because I am protective of our businesses for sure.
Yes, Murph?
Did you ever think about approaching the Brewers Retail to have a can or a little sign there to people taking the money from their empties to throw in this can towards the dog park?
I'll let you respond to that, and then I'm going to ask council a question. Go ahead there, Heather.
Yeah, we have all kinds of great ideas. Let you, just so you know, between Kevin and I, we've got pretty good imaginations and want to have some fun with this and get it done. So I guess I wonder if you give us permission to, maybe this is getting ahead of myself, but one of the things we've also considered if we had to was doing a GoFundMe for a very small amount of money and have that linked in with an Eganville Dog Park page and all of us personally just sending out this GoFundMe. We know there have been a lot of tragedies in the village over the last couple of years and we've all been giving to those. But this might be something kind of fun. And I mean, even if somebody could give us $10, it would be wonderful. So
Brent,
does that sound like something offensive or all right?
Brent, you had something to say when
I was just going to say, I think when we initially talked last year at the council table, my understanding there was already an account made at the township for your guys' fundraising. I'm not sure if that's there. You can confirm that now, but I thought we already had an account set up for if you guys did end up fundraising money. And I guess my second question would just be, do you have a set amount that you guys have raised so far? Like I know Kevin at our budget this year had presented it was a 10,000 cost of material and about 10,000 of labor, and that doesn't include the township say installing a pad. So like realistically, my question, do you guys think that you guys would have the ability to fundraise 10 to 20,000 this year? Would be my question.
That was the question I was actually going to ask the rest of council as well, because I believe when we were in discussion of this, refresh my memory, there's been a lot of stuff that has happened in the last year with COVID and whatnot. But I was under the understanding that, we had a rough draft and the fundraising would be done. We give the okay to get things rolling, and the group would have the amount fundraised prior to us moving ahead with the project. One other question there, go ahead there, Jen. Go ahead there, Jen.
Yeah, Tim, I just wanted to chime in on what you just said. That was also my understanding. I thought that the fundraising efforts were going to be about 16,000, and then we would have some skin in the game with some labor from our roads crew, as time permitting for them, obviously as well. But I before you went on to your next thought, I just wanted to say yes, that was also my understanding. Thank you.
No, and I just wanted to clear it up with council because it has been, a fairly good substantial amount of time since the last discussion, and I didn't get a chance to re-watch anything that we've discussed. I'm sure it's quite a while ago. So, Merv or Jack, anything to add to that? Were you in agreement with that was what was discussed or thought of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Heather.
So just to be clear, is the 16,000 a firm amount? That's one of the things that we would like to know is what is our target? Now, Brent, last year, I thought our target was 10,000. It looked like about half and half, 10,000. And also to reply to your question about the account, yes, there is an account set up in the township for the dog park. There has been no fundraising done yet because I didn't want to start taking money from people during COVID. And I want to also be sure that if we're going out and taking cash, that we have receipt books so we can give people a receipt. And Dana said they could go to the township office for a township receipt if that's what they would like to have. And also, just one more thing, if we set up a GoFundMe, I would want Dana to be the person who is receiving the funds right into the township coffers. Thank
Just
you.
1 second there, Councillor Patrick, you had something?
Yeah, no, my conversation, so with, yeah, Heather, you are correct in the sense that originally when you spoke with Steve, he was discussing a 10 and 10. But obviously, like on our end, everything has gone up dramatically from COVID, obviously. So I'm not sure the amount that councils want set. Maybe we have to have Kevin chime in at some point as well, just on the amount we should set, you guys, like say be it 20 grand or 16. I think either way, the township is going to inherit ongoing costs with this. Not only are we going to have say a daily, almost a bi-daily inspection for the dog part, also we have the liability on top of it as well, and similar other things. So obviously proper signage and insurance and stuff, and we have looked into it previously, and that's something we have to consider as well. So I think like the higher amount we can fundraise, it's not going to go to waste in the sense that the taxpayer, or if you guys have a continuing dog committee, that you guys will maybe provide garbage bags or whatnot. But that's something that we'll have to end up doing on our end to make sure that it is safe, it's sanitary, it's up to municipal standards. And that's just something that we have to consider on our end. It's just on, yes, you guys have your committee right now. It's a long term. If that committee doesn't exist, then it's the township that ends up taking it over. And that's why sometimes when it comes to things, we do ask for significant skin in the game. But no, I have no problem helping and seeing how we can get this going forward. Yeah. But I think fundraising is definitely key.
Yeah.
Mayor Murphy had something?
Thanks, Tim. I just wanted to respond to Heather about the GoFundMe. I'm going to rely on Annette's expertise, but I do not believe as a government organization we should be doing a GoFundMe. I think it would be far more prudent for you guys to set up your committee, you know, have sort of terms of reference or your ultimate goal, and you do the GoFundMe through the Eganville Dog Park. And I think that although I think it was funny that somebody said it should be called the Heather Dog Park. You know, come on, it's right there, Heather. It's right in front of you.
I know.
But I think that, and then you could then transfer the funds into your account with us. We just had this, I just had this conversation with our community development group fundraising, and we are really stuck in some parameters as a government organization. So I think if Heather, you're going to be El Presidente and Kevin will be the Vice Presidente, then maybe that's something that you guys can do together. But definitely at this time, virtual fundraising, that is the way to go. And I'm not against the idea of a GoFundMe page, and I promise I will be giving to it.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, Heather?
Yes, I just wanted to reply to Brent that the fundraising is not going to stop. The support for this is not going to stop. Once we have an off-leash park, we're going to build community. And Kevin can speak to that. I mean, he's already talked about people that he would, you know, like to meet at the park and activities. Being in sales, he's got all kinds of wonderful ideas about things that we can do there. I was even thinking that we should have either you give us a booklet or you should send somebody from the office and we'll have a special get your dog license day because we probably could use some of that too. But no, this is going to be a hub of fundraising, a hub of activity, I just think it will be, so it's something that we'll always be working on. And before I take up all the time, I'd just like to give it over to Kevin in case he'd like to say anything else.
Thank you, Heather. No, you got, thank you, Councillor. You made some great points. All very important things that you do have to think about with a project like this. And so I appreciate this even more of the work that we're going to do now to make sure that this goes forward and that it's not a weight. I don't believe that it should be a weight or like an anchor on the town in the years forward, just because it's a passion for us right now. So this is an ongoing thing. I'm plan to be involved in quite a while, for a long time. I know Heather does as well. And so I look forward to just moving this ball forward. So I'll just take what you gave us today and we'll go back to the drawing board and as soon as we get some reassessment of maybe that figure and knowing what we have to do, that'll be great.
Sure. Any other comments from council? I see Brent had one more thing.
Well, and if I recall from last March as well, the township did send I think it was a letter of support just saying the designated lands that Steve Fegan stuff. So like,
Yeah.
I think the ball in that aspects are rolling, and if something changes, and obviously we will let you know. But I think, in my opinion, the figure would have to be similar to like, in my opinion, as a township staff, like obviously we can donate some aspects of it, in my opinion, but I think it's almost has to be to a certain extent. Like I think like when you're looking at like the 10,000 material cost for the fencing and then the 10,000 install, and then the township ends up doing a pad. And the reason I say like the township in some forms has to be somewhat limited in some aspects is because like we do have ball diamonds that say need some loving, and some Legion field that needs loving, or a tennis court that needs loving. So I just always, it's just people versus dogs, I guess, is kind of how I look at it. So that's why I say like when it comes to the fundraising, to have more is always better than having less. And then if there's any extra, it just goes into a reserve account, or we can just keep rolling it forward. But that's just my last comments I wanted to put forward.
Yes. So
Great,
I
thanks. Thanks. Okay, we're just about ready to wrap up there. Did you have something else quickly there, Heather?
Yeah, just one more question then. Do you foresee that you will start on this as soon as weather permits, even though we may not have handed you over a large amount of money?
As far as it goes, I'm going to say something now. I'm not willing to commit until I see a good substantial amount of money, what we had agreed upon before. I would like to see the initiative taken on that end. I really can't put any, and I'm losing this term callously, but I don't want to put any burden on any of the residents in the event that we don't have, or we have a shortcoming in the fundraising during COVID times. And as far as I'm concerned, if it does take a little longer with the COVID crisis happening right now, that might have to be. As far as I'm concerned, there's very little rush on this, as long as it's done right, and as long as that everybody in the municipality is taken care of when it's all said and done. We all have to get along with it for sure. Okay, Kevin?
Well, thanks. Sorry, Brent, cutting ahead of you there, but just at some point, maybe it could be brought up to speed. It doesn't have to be right now, about how why were certain fencings chose for this project, and the base. I'm not sure what the base was that you decided on, how that was decided on. Were there other options considered? Could that be done in stages, where I've been back in the city where the fencing was done and then we raised money for the base, next level of a different base. So different things like that. But I just, if at some point, if I'll get caught up on how the things were chosen of what was needed equipment wise for this. Thank you.
Okay. And Councillor Patrick had one more question on that, and we're going to wrap this up.
My comment was just going to be if maybe we can speak to as a council at our next meeting a new unfinished business, and then at that time be able to maybe give an exact figure or have a further discussion about it. And I can re-forward everyone the initial dog plans. And then same as Kevin's like fence budget and labor as well. But I would just say I have no problem adding it to the next agenda for council to have discussion about how we can proceed on that day, just so we have 2 weeks to digest of what it is. And then our next meeting, we can talk about a bit more and then have an answer then. So that's my only recommendation.
Appreciate that, Brent. Any other comments from council? Okay, well, thank you very much,
Thank you
Heather and
very
Kevin.
much. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
For
Pleasure
sure.
meeting you all. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for your time.
Take care.
Shall we shut ourselves out or will you do it?
Bye now.
I can do it.
Okay,
If you would
thank
like.
you. Thanks, Annette. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Daryl in the building there, Annette? Or is Daryl out today?
Yes, sorry. So Daryl ended up having an appointment today that he could not miss. So we are going to have to miss Daryl, but I did have conversations with him about his report, specifically about the boat decontamination station. So I can read you his recommendation from his report. And if you have questions, hopefully I've covered them with Daryl. And if not, I will for sure speak to him and get back to you as soon as I can. But I think I have what council was looking for. So on Daryl's report, bear with me, I'm just getting it in front of me. So in Daryl's report, there is a drinking water and also wastewater reports to be reviewed that have to be passed by resolution at council. So I don't really have, if you have questions on that, I don't actually have any answers for you on those reports, likely. But if you have questions and you don't think that you would be passing them as you normally do, please let me know and we can bring them forward to the next meeting. So were there any sort of questions on that report that you wanted me to bring forward to Daryl that would either stop them from being passed, or you're still willing to pass them, but you just have a couple of questions on anything? Just ask that, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I see Merv has got a question.
I was just going to say they're typical and fine with me.
Okay.
Same words, but a new year.
Okay.
And Mayor Murphy?
Thanks. I just wanted to say I was really happy to read. I'm just going to stop my video here. That the new SCADA is being used as of yesterday. That's great news.
Okay. So if there's nothing else, those will come forward to council.
And just
oh yeah.
Just one thing there, Annette. When you're speaking on Daryl's behalf, may I suggest just saying everything is good, everything is flowing fine. We don't even know when you stop here. So just in the future, just to give us that feeling that he's still right there with us, Annette.
I'm sorry,
you
I
have to
didn't
do
bring
the-
his spirit forward. I
You
will
have to
do a
do the
better job
shrug.
of it.
You have to do the shrug while you do that too. You have to
Do a little shrug. Yes,
Everything's
yes,
good.
please.
Everything's good.
Everything's good.
Everything is
All right.
good.
Okay.
We're allowed to interject a little bit of humor in our committee meetings, I'm hoping.
Hot water on the left and sewage runs downhill. They're away.
So the boat wash station is really what I wanted to bring to council's attention, because we did have a delegation on it before, and they're sort of waiting for some direction forward. So the possible site that Daryl thought would work the best would be behind the geotubes. Now I know there was part of that was sort of looked at for the dog park. So I did some mapping. There looks like there's enough room for both to be there. And it would be where the pads are. There's water, there's drainage to get away. So any contaminated water from the boats would work. If there's access to water there, there's access to hydro if needed. However, because the boat wash station that was proposed is run off of a gas motor, I don't know if hydro would be required there. So what would have to be installed is a pad for the wash system. And then of course, whatever the system itself would have to be installed and connected to the water. And then there is access through one way, but Daryl would like to see an egress installed going around so that the boats, like you come in one way and go out the other way, so that doesn't cause any issues. And also a sign, just letting people know that the water is not potable, so that people don't come with jugs and sort of fill up from the hose of that water and take off with it. It's not that it's contaminated water, but it's not meant for drinking. It might not hurt you, but it's certainly not tested. So we would not like people to be taking that away. We talked too about having cameras installed as well, so that we wouldn't have to pay a summer student. I think there was conversation of having someone there monitoring it all the time. The camera might be a cheaper option. And as well, we talked about shutting the water off at night. I guess there's a gate there right now. And I guess there's a gate there because, we don't want people on our sites after hours. So, when it gets dark, the water will probably be shut off, similar to the splash pad. So that doesn't encourage people to be there, because you can't really, it's dark and there's not really a need for them to be washing their boats in the dark. Sorry, I'm going to cough. Excuse me. So if hydro is needed, there's also the cost of the water. Those things could be offset by a payment machine or mechanism like a car wash, if that's something that council's interested in. The other concern that was sort of brought to my attention was people washing their cars. It's a boat wash, but how do you stop people from going back there to wash their cars if it doesn't cost them anything and they want to go there? So that's another reason for the cameras. So that's the recommendation. I don't know if that's something, I know that the Conservatory of Lake Clear was going to raise funds to put this together. So I definitely could sort of send them the recommendation, and maybe they could fundraise for that if council thinks that this is something that you want to go ahead with. Similar to what Merv said earlier, we'd have to wait till after half loads are off. I know they want it there in May, but I mean, a pad would have to be installed, an egress would have to be done, and that's not going to be top priority for our Public Works Department. They've got things they need to do. So I think it's possible if they fundraise and get the money to get it all put in and put together this year by May. I would say that timetable is not doable, but we can, I think Jason's on the call here, so he could tell me whether he thinks that's doable, but I would suggest that he's going to tell us May is not a good time. And in fact, the Public Works Department has a lot of things to do. So, this may not be a priority or something that they have much time to spend on. So any questions on that? Or any direction going forward that I can get back to the Gillis?
I see a lot of hands coming up, but
Okay. It's all good. It's all good.
I've been sitting on this for the last 45 seconds or better here. I still haven't given this situation my blessing, because we do have private business in town that do washing. There's a lot of other aspects, and I know those are not boat washes, but they do have the potential to actually wash boats as well. I mean, a lot of ones could fit in. There's a lot of things that I have to digest and go through before I can put my stamp on this situation. So I'm definitely going to have to look over what was presented to me this last go from Daryl's report as well. But I am still a long ways off from giving a decision on this. I think I seen Merv put his hand up. Go ahead there, Merv. And
yeah, I'm with you, Tim. I've got a lot of questions, and I almost think we should enter some type of an agreement with them. I mean, it sounds like they're not going to have a concrete pad. It sounds like they got an earthen pad. Will the Ministry of Environment allow that water to be run off? Another question, the water temperature. They look like a fairly large temperature. Was that permitted to have the public access to this degree of water? And again, back to the hydro and water, like, who's going to pay for this? Are they going to pay for this? I guess if you're going to have like cameras there aren't going to prevent people from coming and washing their cars, other than you'll see them coming washing their cars. And we have a car wash there. You're going to put them out of business. And what are the hours of operation going to be? And what if the thing don't work? Who's going to pay for demolishing it? Like, I've got grave thoughts of it really not working. It should be set out at the boat wash at Lake Claire, not in Eganville. I mean, I did, and I don't want to belabor this, but I did some fishing. So I go in there in the morning and say, launch my boat at 5 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody telling me I have to have a clean boat. And I come out at 9, 10 o'clock. Is there somebody going to be at the car wash or turning it on? And likewise at night, if I will go fishing 8, 9 o'clock, it's 5, 6 o'clock at night and come out of there at 8, 9 o'clock, is the car wash going to be available, or I'm just going to go home and hose it off? I'm just worried it's going to turn into a white elephant.
Well, and that's the thing. You hit the time frame right on the money there, Merv. I do fish mud powder, barbutt, or whatever you want to call it, and they bite at dark, and that's 9 o'clock, and sometimes they're out there till 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, walleye is the same thing. They're a nocturnal species, and there's a lot of stuff to digest in this proposal. So I'm, like I say, that's where I'm at. Okay, Jack, and then Jen.
Yeah, the issue I have too is about the timing, because this whole deal of this is they were supposed to, when they're doing their fishing derbies early in the morning, the boats are lined up there 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So that sort of defeats the purpose. And if people are coming to do the fishing tournament, I don't see them coming the night before to wash their boat. You know, that's, and with it being so far from their so-called location where they want it, I really don't see it being used. It's like sort of tucked away in around the corner, not even really exposed in the village, right? So I don't know how much you're going to get this used and how you're going to enforce it so people do use it. There's a lot more questions than answers right now. That's the way I'm looking at it. And I think what they proposed was they're going to use like propane pressure or a hot water heater. So, you know, you have to, I had one of those before. It's not like everybody can just come and use them, right? They don't fire up, and there's all sorts of issues with that. So I just think we have to do a little more digging before we jump into this right now. That's all. There's a lot more questions.
Okay,
Thanks.
Mayor Murphy.
Thanks. I'm glad, turn my video off. Sorry, guys. I'm glad that Jason's on as well, but you know, thanks to Daryl for doing some investigation. I absolutely am not against the idea of a boat wash station. Obviously, I think it's important, but I'd like to reiterate some of the things that my colleagues said. Number one, I'm not an angler, so tough for me to talk about going to a fishing derby at 5 in the morning, but I totally get it. And is there, you know, liability there if we don't have somebody monitoring it? But I think my bigger challenge right now is have the 2 car washes in the village being properly asked whether or not this is something that they want to get into. I mean, then they've got drainage, they've got water, they've, you know, all the things in place. And I understand that some boats would be a little larger than one of the car washes would handle. But I think that the other car wash might actually be able to deal with some of the larger boats. I don't know how big boats get, but so those are just some of my thoughts when I was reading this. Do I think it's important? Yes. Do I think that it's a municipal venture? I'm not sure about that when we've got businesses in town that could really benefit from this. And they could advertise that they have it. You know, they've got the payment thing in, you know, a car wash, you go in, you put your coins in or your debit card. They've got all the infrastructure. So I'm not sure how much we want to reinvent the wheel. And with the larger car wash, they have a lot of parking lot space that you could potentially, if the hoses were long enough, hose your boat off in the parking lot. I'm not sure if either of the owners of these businesses are necessarily interested, but I certainly think that they should have first right of refusal before we go down, you know, a path that maybe we, as Jack said, like I'm not, or maybe Tim said it, that I'm not sure how she'll get used when it's tucked away. When I saw Annette's mapping, and Annette, you did answer my question. I'm like, how are these boats getting in and out? Because there's no way in on one side. So I was a little confused. I'm glad you clarified that. But I would, I'd really like to see the two businesses be properly asked if this is a venture that they would like to take on. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor Murphy. And Councillor Buckwell, you.
Yeah, I just comment on what Jen said. I think they want water hotter than what the car washes are producing. And my question is, how hot a water can you use? There's got to be a limit rule somewhere along the line, a limit on the temperature of the water to be used. And that's another one of my worries about sitting there. What if somebody starts playing silly bugger, spraying hot water on one another? Who's liable?
Well, there's a lot more to it once you start scraping away the surface on this situation than just a few minute, debate and, an answer on it. Like I say, I'm definitely not on the capability of answering that question right now. Annette, yes, Councillor Patrick.
I was just going to say, no, I'm in agreement, and I had spoken to one of the presenters, and they stated they did reach out to one of the local businesses, but I think another conversation is necessary because we do have two in the township, and in my opinion, I understand they did a lot of research on it, but I'm also not in agreement with how it would be designed and utilized. I think there's a lot of other options, and I'm not in favor of a gas-powered pressure washer either. And I think we have two local businesses that can't handle it, and they're more than welcome to have a more local one too, Lake Clear. But in my opinion, I think I have a lot more, I guess, questions than answers, and I'm not in favor of the design of it as it stands right now. And especially, I know Jason puts a lot of his snow load up past the Geo Trail there as well. So that's something to consider, especially if we are going to end up putting a dog park and additional traffic. But in my opinion, I think I just have a lot more, questions at this time, and maybe a breakdown of exactly what the 18,000. I did ask for that privately, but I never received it, unfortunately. But an actual breakdown of that 18,000. The thing is I'm sure a local business that already has it set up maybe would put a longer hose on their stations that would allow the capability for a larger vehicle to be able to get washed, a larger boat. I think another conversation though, the private businesses would be beneficial. And as it stands right now, I think it's going to cost a lot more than the 18,000, in my opinion, especially we're going to have longstanding repairs consistently on it, and with hot water tanks, they only have a lifespan of X amount of years. And I guess I have a lot more questions than answers. So as it stands right now, I'd recommend just to push it to the private businesses.
Agree with you.
Well, and if I can just reintegrate, guys, has anybody ever went past a professional car wash and not seen at least one bay out of service at one point in time? It's a mechanical thing that's requires a lot of maintenance and a lot of upkeep. It's not something where you just buy it and it's going to last forever, as far as what I can see. But I can tell you right now that very seldom do I ever drive by a 5-bay car wash and see all of them open at the same time. So there's usually always something wrong with one somewhere along the line, and it does require a fairly substantial amount of maintenance to keep those things rocking and rolling. So, yes, Murph.
Yeah, I'm online with you there, Tim. Who's going to maintain this thing? Who's going to shut it down, drain it in the fall? Who's going to fire it up in the spring? We don't want to throw all this on the township staff. Who's going to look after this thing?
Absolutely. Okay, Jen, you had one more thing to add?
Yeah, if I may, if I can just land this plane. So what it sounds like to me is that all 5 of us are on board to keep our lakes clean, but we believe that this should be a private venture, not necessarily something in the township. So I guess, Annette, if we could ask our delegates if they could go back and perhaps ask both business owners And if they wanted to fundraise, as Brent said, and as I said, you could fundraise for that business and put in a longer hose, hotter water. You know, I think that there's probably a partnership here that's better served than through the township. And let's remember that 18,000 did not include a pay per use. Oh, for God's sakes. It did not include a pay per use like a car wash has. And I don't think, knowing that, you know, utilizing water and hydro, as I know a couple of people have said they weren't comfortable with the gas, that it should be a hydro run washer. I don't see any way we couldn't put in a pay per use such as a car wash. So again, knowing that they have the infrastructure, and I think that we could do a bang up job of advertising. Look at this, we have a boat decontamination center in the village of Eganville. It is located here, and look at all the other things that you can get when you go to that business. So I think that there's an economy of scale here as well for the two businesses. If one of them would jump on board, you know, if I'm washing my boat, do I get an ice cream? If I'm washing my boat, do I fill a jerry can with fuel? So I'm just sort of spitballing here that there's probably some partnerships that would better serve the community and in fact help out our businesses. Let's remember, this isn't only for Bonnechere Valley. It's not only for Lake Clear. We're talking about Lake Dory, Golden Lake, Wilbur Lake, Mink Lake, Muskrat Lake, you know, so I think it would bring, they were absolutely correct in their assertion that this would bring people to the village and that it would be groundbreaking. But I think that there's maybe a better way to do it. So that's sort of me landing that plane. I just wanted to make sure that all of council was on the same page here, just to make sure that we respond. That yes, we do believe that these invasive species are dangerous to our waters, but this would be a better course of action. Thanks.
I agree, Jen. I would much rather see a private entity take on the responsibility for sure. Murph?
Yes, Jen, just on the idea of advertising, I belong to the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, and they regularly put forth the message, wash your boat, wash your boat. I'm sure if we developed something here, they would gladly do a story on it, and this would go province-wide. I'm sure they would.
And one thing I did want to say before I try and wrap this up, everybody is aware that usually has a boat, especially if they're fishermen or if they're using the lakes, of the potential. I don't know anybody out there that wouldn't be aware of it, of the potential invasive species that could be or could not be. And if they do not have the consideration with the knowledge out there right now to do something about it, I don't know if the township providing another area for this is going to entice that type of behavior into thinking that they're going to do right. As Merv said, the Ontario Federation of Angler and Hunters, I'm a member as well. And every month they have something out there of education on this part. And most of the people that are derby fishermen, they would be quite aware of what could be the repercussions of not washing their boat would be. So I don't know, Jack had said it before in the past, the policing, the enforcement, the whole, you know, there's a lot of stuff to this. You know, when I look at the situation, most people that own a boat are aware of the consequences of not having the clean boat, and whether or not that just by us providing a facility is going to change the mentality of the person into thinking they have to do right. Because I think they should all take it upon themselves to do right as it is. So any other questions there, guys? Okay, Annette?
That's all that I had. So thank you very much. I think I have the direction to go forward.
Thank you. And I see we have Jason in the chair. So sorry, we're a little bit behind there, Jason. I got a little long-winded on that last conversation there. She's
Hello, everyone. How is everyone? So number one on our list, we have a bid on the 2008 Sterling plow truck with the box, plow, wing for $6,500. I recommend to council that we accept this offer.
Yes. Being a
Thank you.
Sterling? Yeah.
Thank you. Number two, we did some brushing at the back of the municipal office. And if things work out, we're going to try and get some more brushing done along the entrance side, just to kind of keep everything back and dressed up a little bit. We also did some brushing out at Snowdrifter site where we have to finish off the front of the berm, just to give us a little more area to work with the ground up C&D. Number three, we had an air quality test done at the garage here in the main office. We have a data logger set up now, just collecting data. It's been set up for the week. We just sent it back this morning. And they're going to do some analysis on what they've collected over the week. We've noticed that since COVID has come in, we've been kind of, closing the door more, making sure that, the outside people aren't coming in as much. So trying to open up the windows when we can, but the air quality is just very limited here because of the no HVAC system, right? So this is something that we would be looking at within, a couple of weeks or a month or so. Anyone have any questions?
Jack was first there.
Yeah, so Jason, so you're gonna get some reports back from the data logger, which will tell you the quality of the air. And then
Yes.
they'll come back with a recommendation if something is required to improve or whatever they need, right? So,
Correct.
right, okay.
Now, we did do an inspection above the,
1 second there, Jason. Jen, I believe, had a question regarding
oh,
that.
sorry.
No, finish your thought, Jay. I have something additional for you, not the air quality.
Okay. So we've done an inspection, and at one time there was an air duct went down through the building up on the old ceiling of the council chambers in here. And we can use that system to, collect and spread out our air so that, we can put the HVAC system at the end of that air duct, and then, it's a lot less work. All we have to do is just put an inlet and an outlet for exhaust, and then we're good to go that way. So with the ceiling being dropped, we've got enough room in there to actually put it in, and it's not going to affect anything if that's the route we have to go.
And don't put the intake anywhere near where you're backing the trucks out of the garage.
Oh, that's for sure, Merv.
I know, I'm just being chatty here because I seen that happen at Hydro. Put an intake for the office right where the trucks are parked. all the office got was truck fumes.
Right.
I mean, the best of them do something sometimes.
Yes.
Okay, Mayor Murphy.
Thanks. So Jay, I think that's good. You've found a solution before you even know the problem. So that's good to know. Just two things for you. Number one, we have in our correspondence a request from the Women's Sexual Assault Center about installing a banner. So I just wanted to make sure that you were in the loop on that, because it is in our correspondence. It's not in your report. And I'm assuming none of council has an issue with that banner being put up. I thought that Annette could just send back a quick note saying yes. And they thought it was Bill Kennedy still, so I let her know that it was you, Jay. So if all of council's okay with that, then that can be done. I had 2 complaints and 1 question about wayside attendants wearing masks or face shields. So the two complaints were that when they didn't have to show their green card or didn't have to pay cash, they were fine with the wayside attendants because they weren't anywhere close to them. Now that they have to present their green card or give cash, and there's a sign, I guess, on the gate. Again, much like fishing, I don't often go to the dump. The question I had was, there's a sign on the gate that says we have to wear masks, but the wayside attendants aren't wearing masks. So I didn't know what our official policy was. And I know that, you know, we've come in and out of this no fees. So I know that it's changed, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yes, Jen, and I will mention that to all the site attendants again. Now, like we had mentioned too, they're outside. If they can social distance or, you know, stay away from everyone, I don't see a problem with, you know, not wearing your mask. But if you're in that, you gotta be careful like everyone else.
I think it was just a matter of having to approach the wayside attendant to get your green card checked off. I think that's the complaint I got. It wasn't that they weren't wearing a mask or a face shield. It was, now I'm approaching them and they're not wearing a mask or a face shield.
Yep, I will definitely send them or talk to them all, please. And they'll have to start wearing them no matter what. Again, thanks.
Murph?
If they're alone.
Going back to the banner, do we have the capabilities of putting that banner up there, or do we have to hire someone with a bucket truck to put it up?
So we have to hire a bucket truck to put it up, Merv, and have flagmen close the bridge down and one lane of traffic.
Okay, Councillor Patrick?
I was just gonna say, what did we do last year? If I remember, I thought they paid for the install of it and we just allowed them. I'm not sure if maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that's what the original agreement was last year, is that they were gonna pay to install it.
I can't remember what it was, Brent. I know I remember putting it up, but I can't remember if they paid for the bucket truck or not.
I don't know that they did, but I'll find out for sure before I respond to them.
Yeah, I thought that was I thought Brent was right, actually. Oh my goodness.
No, I'm pretty sure what council's agreement last year was that we have no problem it being hung in May, but just because we just don't want burning the costs associated with it, but we have no problem it being up. They would just have to pay for the install. Just and if I remember, the rationale for that was just because if we put up for one, we have to put it up for all. So that's kind of just something moving forward that we had made the conscious decision, but we did support it. It was just on the fact that we did ask them to pay for it.
I think we utilized our roads department, but they were to pay for the bucket truck. I think that's where we landed, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that, and I thought that was the ask too, just whether or not they could put it there or not. Put it up.
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead there, Jason.
That's all I have.
Okay, any other questions for Jason? Oh, Annette?
Just before Jason leaves, I just want to make sure in case council had any questions regarding the Campbell and the Raditz Road requests, that he was still here. Like they'll still come forward again to council once we get back to the owners who have asked if they can have agreements to cross those roads, and one is to actually extend the road. So we've had preliminary discussions with Jason, but wanted to make sure that council was okay with us continuing down that road with those ratepayers, you know, before we put some time and effort into it, and so do the ratepayers. So.
Go ahead, Mayor Murphy.
Yeah, I'm fine with both of these if you guys want to go down that road, pun intended. I do know that one of them The challenge is that they have a landlocked the Raditz Road one is that they've got a landlocked piece of land that I think that they were trying to sever and sell. And of course, the county won't allow that unless you have road access. So yeah, I think, you know, we want to clean up some of these hangovers from pre-amalgamation. So I'm fine with a little investigation being done. Thanks.
Okay, Jason, yes?
So I did a rough measurement on the computer county map, and it's roughly about 150 meters that the residents would need to come off of Raditz Road to their property. Which is nothing really.
Okay. Thanks for the information on that, Jason. 150 meters isn't that much for sure.
And no concern with the Campbell Road or Elgin Street proposal as well. That one's a little bit more complicated, so it's going to take some of Jason's time and the ratepayers' time to figure out exactly what all is needed there. But no concerns if hydrogeological studies and surveys and everything comes out correctly and it's built to Jason's specifications. That's no other concerns there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Jason.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a good day. Okay, Dave, you're on the air.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I think I want to start out, I'm pretty sure everybody is aware of this now, but the new extrication agreement is now in force with North Algona Wilberforce. It has been put through the CAC Center and it is now live. So they are now doing their own extrication as of the 25th, actually, in the majority of their township now. We're still doing it where we do fire first response, and they're doing it the rest of the area. So just so everybody's aware, that is actually that has gone live now. TSSA donated us $500 towards CO detectors. This was something that was organized and championed by one of our local TSSA inspectors. Apparently, this is the first time the TSSA has ever given money to a municipality. They're even though I don't know if we classify them as a crown corporation or not, but they're regulated through the government. They've not done it, and I think that Clinton, our local inspector, deserves some thank you for that. It's a big help for us. You know, with our small prevention budget, to have $500 towards carbon monoxide alarms is great. So we can continue what we were doing over the Christmas holidays, because they are traditionally expensive. You know, we're able to go ahead and help people out that can't necessarily, you know, afford one at this time until we run out of stock from what they've given us. So I think it's a really good thing that they've done for us as a small township.
Mayor Murphy?
Thanks, Tim. So Chief, do you want, oh, for goodness sake. Do you want to send a thank you note, or would you like to have, stop laughing at me, Tim, this is very frustrating. It's not only my internet, my computer actually crashed this morning and I've had some issues with it over the last 2 days. Chief, do you want to send a thank you note, or would you like a thank you note sent from the council?
I was going to ask if council would send it on behalf of the municipality to the TSSA and thanking especially Clinton, the person that championed this. I think that would be a really nice thing to send to that organization.
I think that's a great idea, a good gesture on council's behalf for sure.
Absolutely.
It will be done.
Okay.
Annette, can we make that happen?
Yeah, I was just in the meantime, I was texting the chief to say, can I get his address? So we were sharing. That was good. Good brainwave. Thanks.
I think the next thing I'd like to go through is what I promised that I would follow up with regards to the closing of the Ontario Fire College. And I did get a member briefing from the OAFC after their meeting with the Office of the Fire Marshal on February 10th. And I'd like to share some of the key facts, messages, and positions from the OAFC. Shouldn't take too long to do it, but it kind of gives you an idea of where the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs is with regards to what has happened. Some of the key facts, and I'm just going to sort of read through these. I obviously couldn't memorize them all, but I'll be to the point and brief as possible. Key facts: most of the departments in Ontario are funded municipally, which everybody here knows, other than those in unorganized areas that are supported by the OFMEM. So anything in the Northern Fire Protect District, which would be north of Thunder Bay, probably like Nipigon area, up way far north, they're subsidized by the Office of the Fire Marshal. They're unorganized, so they don't have a municipality. They don't have a a township like per se like we have, where we collect taxes and the tax money goes towards it. So the Fire Marshal's office takes care of that. Since 1949, the provincial government has subsidized all of the fire training at the Ontario Fire College. A big thing that I didn't realize is that the province of Ontario provides grants to police services called community safety grants. The grants provide police, obviously, the tools and the resources needed to keep Ontario safe. From 2019 to 2022, Ontario is investing $181 million to support the police services, local projects. And okay, so there's 107 local projects and 1.4 or 14 million for 18 provincial projects. So it's kind of strange the amount of tax money that that comes out of our portion for our policing, to find out that they get grants this large from the province, whereas the fire service gets nothing. And that's been a bone of contention. It was brought up at the meeting that we had, and now this is something that's come out of a subsequent meeting through the OAFC and their meeting with the OFM. So that's, I think, an important point to remember, that there's a lot of money going there over and above the tax money that that we're paying. Some of the key messages from the meeting. It's the opinion of the board of directors of the OAFC that the closure of the college was made by senior government officials and not by the OFMEM. At this point, there's no official position has been provided by the province. So that being said, the OAFC is not prepared to extend any political capital to try and reopen the college. As far as they're concerned, it's unlikely going to affect any change with the government right now. So I don't think they're going to be working towards trying to lobby the government to reopen it again. So the OAFC has asked about the financial resources being redirected from the fire college closure to stay within the service. However, there hasn't been any information provided to the OAFC from the OFMEM. February 10th, the board of directors met with the OFM, who provided a presentation called Modernization Within the Ontario Fire College. Obviously not physical college, it's a virtual college now. Due to no consultation, incomplete environmental scanning of training in the fire service, and a lack of details, the OAFC has concerns regarding the framework around this process. Until all the details and necessary information to fully understand and recognize a sustainable, accessible, and modernized training system for all the departments is presented, the OAFC cannot support the presented framework in its current state. So there's a lot of work to be done by the sounds of it between the main stakeholder, which would be in the province, would be OAFC, and the government at this point. The position of the OAFC is that there's not a one size fits all, and I think that's where we ran into problems with the standardized training or the certification training. There was kind of a one size fits all for all the departments, and it wasn't really There was no attention brought to the fact that a small municipality like ours is different than Ottawa. And that's something that they're looking at addressing right now. The OAFC believes that there's a long-term plan developed giving proper supports to those fire service with limited resources and provide fire service with the autonomy and authority to train and test their fire service personnel to the level of service that they provide. So the OAFC position is that why can't we train and test and certify our own people, to our service level? We don't do a lot of things that other larger departments do. The certification process sort of forces us to train in some of that stuff if we want to get to a certain level of certification. So we always train to our service level. We shouldn't necessarily have to certify to anything more than that unless we introduce a new service, whether it be high angle rescue or whatnot. As we add, we have to train towards that level. The Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, through the expertise of members, can provide, guide, and direct modernization of the fire service training, and it stands to reason that they should be recognized as the principal stakeholder in the process moving forward. What else do we have here? The Ontario government, and this one came back, the Ontario government must create a grant or subsidy similar to other emergency services to ensure a standardized training system for all fire services in the province. So personally, for me, in my opinion, that I think instead of asking council to pass a motion against closure of the fire service or fire college, I think passing a motion to ensure that municipalities are going to get funded properly in the future, because as we know, as I've talked about, the $65 per student per course at the college is now turning into $800 to $1,500 per student, plus wages, plus transportation, plus. So I think if we were going to do any kind of motion, I would be behind doing something with regards to finances, with regards to funding our training programs, knowing that the police are funded fairly heavily. And we're all in the public safety sector, and I think that there should be some fairness involved. And if the expectation level is very high, then they have to help us get there. So that would be something that I could get behind for sure. And that's all I have about from that memo. But I thought it was very interesting that being on the conference call, everybody was saying the same thing. The majority were not upset about the college being closed. The majority were upset about how we're going to afford to pay for our training, how we're going to train our people, and where are we going to train them. The people the municipalities that were close to Gravenhurst took advantage, obviously, of the college. A lot of municipalities didn't because it wasn't feasible. They couldn't afford to do it. So the regional training centers are now that's now the talking point, filling the gaps in the province and putting regional training centers in. But that's great, but they're extremely expensive to attend. So that's where this money, hopefully, the fire service will see redirected, from the college back, stay in the fire service to help subsidize that kind of training.
Ken, you had a question?
Yeah, I've got two things for the chief. Number one, I think definitely a resolution. Also a letter to Sylvia Jones, the Solicitor General. Is your chief's meeting tomorrow?
It's tomorrow night, yeah.
It is. Then I would put to council and to the chief, maybe you and your colleagues should formulate a resolution that all of the municipalities in Renfrew County that have fire departments could fire off all at the same time. I think, there's solidarity in numbers. And you could bring that back to us as I'm sure the CAOs can clean up verbiage, etc. But I think that that it should be a two-pronged approach with a resolution and with a letter. You know, we have to make sure that all the fire chiefs are on the same page here in Renfrew County as well.
Yep.
So I think when you're talking about a regional approach to fire training, I think that we've got lots of expertise here in the county that can be utilized.
Mhm.
You know, we have a college, we have other entities that could probably help out with space. You know, the more that I've heard from my colleagues about this, the more I understand that, you know, Gravenhurst was great for the money, but not so great for the timing, for courses filling quickly. And maybe this is an opportunity where firefighters could train right here at home in Renfrew County. So I think maybe with council's approval, maybe we could throw that back in your lap for tomorrow night. And in the meantime, we can formulate a letter to the Solicitor General.
Yeah, absolutely. I will bring that forward tomorrow night at our meeting.
That's great, because everybody knows how much Sylvia Jones likes me. She does not.
And another concern, you know, with the financial end of it, there was concerns from most of the chiefs regarding, you know, if certification is inevitable, whatever way we get there, I think the province, regardless of what government's in, it wants to get to that position where firefighters are going to be certified. But the capabilities of the fire college to, you know, be able to handle that were in question. Also, the capabilities of some of the regional training centers, they're limited and they're not necessarily equipped to be able to handle the certification process. So money should be invested, you know, in those areas to be so that it doesn't matter. They should be cookie cutter. You should be able to go to one in Ottawa or one in London and be able to have the same service delivery. And right now, that's not how it works, right? They all sort of have their own set limit as to what they can train. So if you want to take something particular, you know, a particular, I don't know what, but it might not be offered in Eastern Ontario, but it might be offered in a training center in Western Ontario, right? So we need to sort of cookie cutter all the regional training centers to make sure that they offer the same service. You know, and the only way that can happen is if the province steps in and funds them.
Sounds good, Dave.
So I don't have anything else.
I see Merv has a question.
Dave, just this is a costing question, and I'm sure you are involved, and that's probably a good explanation for it. But it struck me: why are we paying to provide first aid training for South Algonquin and Whitney fire departments? Are you aware of it?
We're getting paid to provide that.
Oh, you're getting paid to provide that.
Yeah.
I didn't see the income. I just seen the outgoing. Okay.
Yeah. No, we have to buy supplies, so the books and the cards and whatnot, but they pay us to do that. We do have a small group of first aid trainers that, you know, they sort of have their own account and they make us some money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured it was, but I just thought
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Dave. Any other comments or questions for Dave? Everybody looks good. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Have yourself a good day. Enjoy the sunshine while it's still here.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tim.
Mr. Chair, can we have 5 minutes?
We can take 5 minutes for sure.
Thank you.
You want to go, Annette, to back in 5?
I will do that.
Thank you.
Tim, I was bursting.
Oh, no problem. I was gonna say, can we do it before? Hey, oh, we give you 5.
I just got to check my supper and it's coming along just fine in my slow cooker.
What are you having tonight,
Nice.
Merv?
Venison soup.
Oh, that's good. Venison is always good.
Generally, to get a deer, I asked the butcher to give me a couple of packages of ribs because I like the venison soup.
Oh, yeah.
And with spring coming, you don't have soup too much in the hot weather, so better get it over with.
You know, there's something about the cold, the chilly times, you know, like the soup and the stews and that, that's always good, you know, baked beans.
I got all my dry ingredients for the dumplings together. Just hopefully between committee and council, I can mix them up and toss them in there and they'll be ready when we're done with council. But I might have to break away about a little bit early because about 5:30 or so, because the snow has all come off of my shop roof. There's about a 3-foot windrow in front of it. And I got to catch the grandson when he comes home from work to shovel me a path into the door so I can get the tractor out.
As our meeting was going on, I heard it coming off the tin roof behind me here as well. So,
I don't know. It must have come up. I didn't notice it yesterday, but I noticed it this morning. And of course, the driveway's glare ice.
yes, a lot of the gravel, what was gravel,
Yeah.
now an ice track for sure.
Yeah. So I can get the grandson to shovel me a path in through the pedestrian door. I can get into the loader then and I've got
It's good to have the younger help, Hamer, but
Yes, that's right. That's right.
absolutely. I know even my son there, he looks after a lot of things for dad when I'm out and about there. So no, it's good to have the next generation being able to help us out.
And I
And
gotta
it's
get,
not
I gotta,
child labor.
I gotta get, I've got a load of, I got a load of firewood coming, so I gotta create a road on a path out in the field where I want to dump the load of firewood.
Okay.
Now, if he'd have told me last week that he was going to be coming, I mean, Sunday was a nice day. I had it out there and doing some winter. Just had to burn some diesel. It's a nice day on Sunday.
And you know, there's something I forgot to ask Jason when he was here was about the half load restrictions. Annette, do you have an update? I've been asked this, and I can't believe this is kind of a speciality.
March, I think it comes on.
I think they've been extended in certain areas. So I think the county's going Friday now, if I'm not mistaken, or Monday.
So I know that a couple of years ago, the county passed they asked all the municipalities to pass a bylaw so that we were all done at the same time. So, and I think that was March 15th, but it's March 15th. You know, watch for the bags to come off the signs, right? Like once you see those come off, then you know it's the case. But I haven't seen anything. Maybe there'll be something in the paper today.
Okay,
Usually they put out an advertisement to let people know.
And I haven't, have we as a municipality put anything out yet? Because our signs say March the 1st in it. So
Yes, depending on, right, it can be March the 1st, but
that's right.
yes.
If there was any anticipation of when that may occur with next
I
week.
will, I will certainly ask Jason and get back to, I'll answer all of council with that answer. But maybe there's even an ad in the paper today.
As far as the county goes, at county council last week through our operations committee, no decision had been made at that time.
Well, you don't have to worry about half loads getting into Heideman's, eh, Tim?
No, I don't, but there are ongoing things happening in the area that are on county roads or municipal roads and such too, where, you know, there's guys cutting all over the place. And I do know there'll be some in Bonisher Valley and there's some in, you know, neighboring North Laguna, Wilberforce and on the county roads. So not only, you know, as a logger, do you have to worry about the the highways, it's always the county roads and the municipalities as well. And it's always nice when it's unified in the locale. Sometimes that isn't always the case, but it's always good to know ahead of time so that you're not in contradiction to any kind of law or bylaw. Or, you know, most guys do use their heads and do things when things are froze, but some people do wait for the signs to be flipped or whatever as well.
But getting out to Highway 11 at Martin River is coming off a Crown. Is there any half loads restricting up there?
I'm on full road designation for most of my adventures, but I have been asked in the last week, you know, to check in because there's other people actually even just starting some jobs on different county roads and municipal roads, and they're wondering if they can get haulage done or not. And of course, leave it to me to bypass that question when our roads guy was here. But anyway, don't tell anybody. It's our own secret between us and you know, the YouTube viewers and everyone else in the back. So, by me, we'll get going along if everybody is back. Oh, I see that. There we go.
You don't want to be reminded by roads guys that wear a uniform, though.
That's right. That's right. Are we missing someone there? I think everybody's back.
No, Jack's not back, Tim. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, Jack, I seen him stretch up there. So if we can carry on now, we're going to go to correspondence. Everybody get a chance to read correspondence? Is there anything to comment on? Okay, I see Mayor Murphy with something on correspondence.
Thanks. So there are two things. Number one, there is the call out from the county with regard to the winter games next year, if anybody's got some volunteer time on their hands. And there's information in that call out. Secondly, Maggie Fireman is retiring, and I think it would be really nice if we sent a note on behalf of Bonisher Valley Council to thank her for her 3 decades of work in our village and across the county for employment opportunities, if council's okay with that.
Maybe even a plaque so you put on the wall.
Yeah,
That's a
thank
lot
you.
of dedication, for sure.
Yep. Everybody's freezing up on me. I'm gonna go dark here. Can I just get a thumbs up if that's all right?
It's okay, Jen. According to my screen, I think you're the only one freezing up. Everyone else is moving there. Okay. Everybody else. in
I
the-
hate internet.
If you can hear me, Jen, I suggested maybe even give her a plaque that she can put on the wall.
Yeah, I think that's the way we should go, Annette, if that's okay.
That will send her one of the township certificate plaques.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Go ahead there, Annette.
the winter games, so if there are members of staff who want to take some time out to volunteer or be on a committee, that's okay if they missed a few hours of work here or there to support that initiative in the county or not. I'm just asking. Nobody has put their hand up yet, but if they do, I would like to have an answer for them.
Yeah, and this is what we did during Expo 150. And nobody took advantage. And listening to my colleagues, this is, and I'm sure, Annette, you're hearing this through your CAOs group. This is something that other councils are allowing, sparingly, not taking away, but yeah. And a lot of these things are on the weekend as well. So, that's staff time on their own as well. So I'm fine with it if the rest of council is.
Yep.
Yeah, just a word of caution. Everybody has their own. Look after yourself, and I trust that nobody will take advantage of anything in any shape or form. I think we're all adults in this room, and I think that the Winter Games is definitely a huge thing for our little area here. So very excited to see, what the outcome is going to be, and let's all hope and pray that this bug that's continuing from 20 to 21 and then hopefully not into 2022, guys, and that this will go off without a hitch. I look forward to seeing it, and I totally endorse help and cooperation on behalf of the staff and people of Bone Shore Valley to get going on that. Okay, anything else on the correspondence A? Okay, move along to correspondence B. Anybody have anything to add or to comment on anything on correspondence B? Okay, and we have nothing under correspondence C, so we're going to move to new and unfinished business. Mayor Murphy, we're looking forward to hearing your report.
I'm not sure you'll feel that way by the end of this, but I'll give it the old college try. If I do freeze,
sarcastic, so go ahead.
Somebody just yell at me if I freeze up, okay? Can you hear me?
Hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So in the month of February, I attended 19 meetings on Bone Shore Valley, and yeah, okay. Shit. Okay, let's try this again. In February, I attended 19 meetings on Bone Shore Valley and county business. On February the 1st, the county passed its budget. We are at 2.5% on the levy, which was the goal that we were looking for. On February 3rd, obviously I'm not going to do our committee and council. You guys know about all that. On February the 3rd, we had a community development meeting with regards to accessibility on the fishing dock. The golf tournament, which will be scheduled for May 28th. They are looking for golfers and sponsors. The social media got lots of traction thanks to Dana and the social media crew. The top post was the Axe and Paddle, and the second was the Little Library. We did have a fundraising meeting, but I'll report back. We do have a community development meeting tomorrow where we're going to bring our ideas for fundraising. One of the things, of course, is the shade structure for the splash pad. They want to work with Rotary. A few things about a walking or a pamphlet about walking in Eganville. There was a subcommittee formed. We did discuss the accessibility at McCrae Park. Of a lot of interest was a report from one of our local real estate agents. So we are up 16% in units sold, and that was on February the 3rd, which is pretty incredible. We were down 75% of available inventory over the previous year. One thing that he hadn't seen before was lots of multiple offers. And last year at that time, we had about 300 units available in the county versus 70 this year, which is outstanding. On February the 4th, I participated in the implicit and unconscious bias seminar given by Shayla and Laura. I found it very interesting. I learned a lot about myself, especially somebody that, came from an environment where I dealt with, all races, creeds, colors, sexual orientation. I certainly learned a lot about my own unconscious bias with regards to people that are late for meetings, which I think some of our staff thought was pretty darn funny. On February 9th, I had a meeting with General Hillier and the Premier and Steve Clark, etc. All of this information is now stale dated, which this is obviously a moving target. It's very fluid. They are concerned about the variants and whether or not the different vaccines will be okay for all of them. Obviously, we had an emergency control group when we moved into the green zone. On February 10th, I was in health committee and we had a update on the seniors housing strategy. It very, very, very interesting, which I'll get into when I talk about our county council meeting. We also had, I have a slide deck if anybody's interested, because we've 23,000 individuals without a family physician. They gave us a briefing on a virtual family health team in Petawawa that I found very interesting. We also had a delegation with regards to community paramedicine and their role that could be utilized in the vaccination progress. Again, I had a fundraising committee meeting on February 10th. February 16th, we were all there. We didn't expect the amount of responses we got for our public meeting, and we will be going forward on March 19th. I had a resources committee with the Board of Health. We are getting ready to do the Board of Health budget in the next week or so. I won't go, that's a lot. I won't go over all of that. This seems like a long time ago. So we had a Board of Health meeting about the vaccine rollout. Again, some of the information is now stale dated. At County Council, so we had the seniors housing strategy. And I'm gonna see if my video will work now. One of the things that became blatantly clear during this was, remember back when, and we were talking about the fact that the county, we were going to go with the county to redo our entire zoning bylaw. One of the challenges with doing it piecemeal is that this senior housing strategy speaks directly to the fact that we must be able to have secondary dwellings on some of our properties. So when we get to that zoning, I think what I'd like to do is actually bring myself as a delegation with that slide deck forward to our committee so they understand the gravity and the need for these secondary dwellings. We also had, there was a lot in there, by the way, about keeping seniors at home and safe and using community paramedics. It was very interesting. We also had an update from the Ministry of Transportation. They come to us every couple of years, every third year, to give us sort of an update. I will tell you that they spent $20 million in 2020 in Renfrew County, the Highway 41 culverts, and there'll be more of those in 2021. 2021, some work on Highway 17, Highway 60, and Highway 41. Team 17 addressed the safety issues and that the rumble strips seem to be working, which is really great. We got an update on our maintenance services by Firaval, and they're the ones that are doing our winter operations. Development and property, one thing that's all near and dear to our hearts, question I asked, Taste of the Valley. At this time, they're not willing to go ahead. They're not willing to pull the plug. I think we used to plan things 6 months or year over year, and now we're planning things in 2 to 3 week increments. So I think that's something that we've kept in the budget, which I'm really pleased about. And they will let us know, and we are still one of the locations. The other thing that came out of DNP, and this is going to sound like a brag, but I'm pretty proud of it, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I was chosen as one of 12 women from across Renfrew County to be part of Oafc Boss Babes, which is celebrating the International Day of the Woman. So I did my interview last week. It will be on social media tomorrow, but we'll go sort of countywide on the 8th, which is the International Day of the Woman. I was really, really, really proud to be part of this, not only as an elected official, but as a breast cancer survivor and an entrepreneur. So that's my humble, it's not so humble brag. That was just a brag. We got an update. Yes, sorry, Tim, go ahead.
Can I go back to the Taste of the Valley event? Jen,
Absolutely.
it's something that I wanted to see come to, Bonaire Valley for the last couple of years after attending quite a few of the events in the past. I really take note at this time of what's going on in the rest of the world and how people are doing and how they're coping and doing with COVID, and how they're able to go on and keep surging ahead. And I've noticed a lot of outdoor places have, in the States, for example, Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg and area, they're Disney World as well. They're all open with people wearing masks, and they're continuing on. So hopefully with the projections or whatever, I don't want to jinx anything, in the near future, hopefully the very near future, that we can get going on that type of event again. It looks so refreshing to see people outside doing somewhat normal things. They were all wearing masks, of course, at all these places, but they're still able to do things, in the outside realm. So hopefully that we can get that back up and running again as soon as possible. Like I'd really, that'd be so great for all of Bonaire Valley if we do have that type of experience for the local people here. And I'm really pulling hopefully whatever we can do to make that happen. I'm behind it 110%.
When County Council are in agreement there, Tim, I think, it would be a morale boost. It would give us a sense of semi-normal, even if we had to wear masks. Stay tuned. I will continue to ask the question. But I think I took Craig Kelly off guard with my very blatant, I really want this to happen. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
For sure.
If I may, I'll continue on. Obviously, we talked about the county official plan, which has not been ratified yet. I know that there was discussion in our public meeting, and there I go again. There was discussion in our public meeting that some people thought that our county official plan had been ratified. It is not. There were some very interesting things in the changes to our OP that directly affect Bonaire Valley. Number one, allowing for different setbacks on shorelines. Again, secondary dwellings on lot 10 acres, not to share well and septic, which I thought was a good recommendation. They removed the 1 kilometer sterilization for development around the villages. The reason this has to go back to DNP is, unfortunately, the recommendation came that it changed from 1 kilometer, 500 meters. And that was not what we wanted. So they've taken it away completely. The designation at capacity, they are going to delete the word development and use site alteration, which will only speak to lot creation. We did talk about the vaccine plan, and in fact, I'm getting an invitation right now to a meeting at 7 o'clock on Thursday night to talk about our vaccine rollout. Bonnechere Valley is part of the PRH catchment area, so we will be doing that. On March 12th, because I'm not busy enough, I have decided to run for the board of the Eastern Ontario Regional Network. I will tell you that I have reached out to all wardens and the 2 mayors that sit on the EOWC, and I sent them a follow-up email with my thoughts with regard to the GIG project, and of course included my own woes that everybody here and everybody watching on YouTube are watching me go through this very difficult internet challenge. So I will say that we've had people stand for the board before that were unsuccessful. There is a South of 7 contingent. I don't want to be, I don't want to be mean, but they play golf together, and they, that's their gig. So I'm going but I am going to put my best foot forward on March the 12th. I hope I have all of your support, and I promise that this will not interfere with my other duties as assigned. But yeah, I'm a sucker for punishment. Yeah, Jim.
I'm sensing a little unconscious bias against the people from South of 7.
No, that's actually conscious bias.
I've been included in the North of 7 bunch from the pulp mill in Trenton, and they refer to us as North of 7. So absolutely, it's there. It's a dividing line in personalities. So for sure.
That is so funny, because yes, that's the way we sort of talk about ourselves. When I was on the EOWC, that we were the North of 7, South of 7. We could have had like a Sharks and the Jets.
Yeah, you're closer to truckers in behavior than you really thought, I bet.
There you go.
I see, Merv, you have a question?
Yeah, no, just going to, on the Highway 7 situation. During a previous life, when some of these things come out of Toronto and whatnot, we used to say they've never been north of the Pecos. They've never been north of Highway 7.
That's right. Anyway, I think I do have some support, and I certainly, in my telephone calls and in my email, I ensured that they knew that this is a passion project. It is a #1 priority. I don't think we have any more important infrastructure right now than good, solid internet and cell phone service. And if I can help with not having this as a regional approach, which is our fear that people are going to start dividing up, and it won't be what the EORN project was originally destined for. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, I'm not busy enough, so why not? I did want to give you guys a briefing about the restructuring of the Human Resources Department at the County of Renfrew. So Human Resources now falls under what used to be finance, well, Treasury, I guess. It's now under Jeff Foss, is now the Director of Corporate Services. And what we've done is we've hired a manager as opposed to a director of HR, and direct reporting to that gentleman, who I believe started yesterday, I believe. What we've done is we've approved 3 human resources coordinators. Now, that name might change. Right now they are HRCs, but they're looking at a different, because it's sort of a misnomer. But what I want to do is it's going to allow for human resources for our 900 employees at the county to be taken care of when it comes to their own HR needs and or union, that kind of thing. But the third HRC will actually be the person that if Annette or any of us need human resources advice, that's the person we will go to. So prior to this, each municipality was given 7 hours a year of free HR services. What we're doing right now is we're going back to the drawing board in finance and admin to find a good balance of what should be a fee for service and what should be free to the municipality. This went over very well with county council. One of the biggest concerns with the outgoing director of human resources was that the municipalities would not have sufficient access to human resources at the county of Renfrew. Certainly something that we don't have the resources to staff ourselves in each of our small municipalities. So I really want to give a shout out to Jeff Foss and Paul Morrow that came up with this fantastic plan. I think it's going to serve us very well. So on February 26th, again, we had a meeting with the Premier and General Hillier and the Minister Clark and et cetera, about the vaccine rollout. Again, some of this is stale dated. The AstraZeneca apparently was approved that morning, but it is, and I don't know why this is, it's been back and forth whether it's only good for people under 65 or people over 65. The 80 plus they're starting actually in Peel today, but we will see the rollout throughout the province over the next week or so. Police and paramedics are being given priority 1, but fire is not unless they do medical calls. So our fire department does not do fire medic. Now there was a question with regards to, well, what if our fire department goes out and helps the paramedics with a lift assist? And I wish I'd thought of this while the chief was here. I'm not sure that that's something that we should be allowing our fire department to do right now if they aren't in priority 1. But I'll let that simmer for a couple of minutes if you guys want to think about it. The Premier, there will be a very strong communication strategy because there's the social media and media is not working enough. So they're talking about postcards, et cetera, to ensure that we hit every demographic. And the Premier gave us a little teaser that there was going to be an announcement about broadband, but didn't tell us when or what it was. So that will be interesting. And the last thing I wanted to touch on, I want to thank again all of our staff, Annette, you and your senior leadership team for the excellent budget that you brought to us on the 19th. And I want to thank all of council for coming prepared, sleeves rolled up, ready to work. And I'm so proud that we got this budget done. Oh, there goes my internet. We got this budget done in a day, in less than a full day, and in fact came in at 1%. I think our residents will be very pleased with that. Bonnechere Valley was lucky that we had 1.2% real growth last year, which certainly helped with the levy impact. So again, I just want to thank everybody for delivering and ensuring that we had a good, solid budget that we can be proud of, and that I believe our residents will be proud of. And Annette, I suppose in the next 2 months or so, you'll be doing a proper presentation of the budget so that our ratepayers can see where their hard-earned dollars are spent. And at that, Mr. Chair, that is my report. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take them.
I think everybody's good. Mayor Murphy?
I don't know
Oh,
how,
Jack's got a
February
question.
really? Oh,
Jack?
okay.
Jack's got a question. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, just on this lift assist, do we have any idea roughly how many calls that Dave and his guys go out for this, or?
I can tell you from, well, I don't hear his pager all the time. I don't think they've had one through COVID. But it did come up from one of the mayors in this meeting with General Hillier and Christine Elliott and the premier, I guess, that, okay, if you're not going to prioritize our volunteer firefighters, this is something that they do. Do they do it on a regular basis? I don't think so much. But I do think that we should be giving some sort of advice to Annette to pass the chief as to what we think about lift assist at this time.
I think we should, before I really want to give my advice on it, I think I'd like Dave's input to see what he figures. Because he really knows the situation. I really don't want to go one way or the other, and then because you're could be putting somebody's life at risk because there's not enough people to lift them on, right? So.
And that has been a challenge, Jack, you're absolutely right. So I think maybe let's give administrative direction to Annette. Annette, maybe you can touch base with the chief and just see if this is a challenge in Bonnechere Valley, and maybe it's just not. Maybe it's nothing. But I thought that I should pass it on anyway.
Well, one thing I do have to caution about, going either way on that, and absolutely agree with Jack. We'll have to get Dave's input. But the type of person that becomes a firefighter usually are capable of inheriting a little bit of risk when they do that job. And I'm not trying to put them at any more risk, but they're the type of individual that kind of jump right in and go right to it. And we might offend some of our firefighters if we told them they couldn't do such an action. So I know myself personally, if I were in a situation, I wouldn't ask if someone needed help. I would be glad to help in that lifting situation. So I just don't want to remove that from them without going through the chief. Anybody else? Murph?
Yeah, I was just going to say, being someone that has a daughter that was a paramedic, apparently, usually for the lift assist, if they have a wreck down in a deep ditch somewhere with a 250 pound victim, they usually, if that's the case, usually the firefighters are there anyway. But they would ask for a lift assist on something like that.
Oh, it was lift assist and locked door entry was the other question that mayor asked. And I'm presupposing that that particular, I don't know what municipality it was, guys. There were like 100 questions asked at some of these meetings. But they aren't fire medics. So I suppose that mayor was a bit concerned about the two aspects. You know what, guys? I did kind of gloss over the fact that our remote rural mental health and addiction initiative is coming along really, really, really well. There's been lots of data mining, and I'm really excited for our next meeting, but they are applying for grants all over the place. And when we get to number 9 of new and unfinished, there is a late addition for one of those grants. So thanks for bearing with me. I don't know how February got away from me. I keep saying to people, we are busier now than we were before COVID, which is pretty funny. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Mayor Murphy. Okay, moving along to the Ontario Winter Games.
I think that was just Ed asking about staff.
Okay, perfect. So the rest of this, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 have all been addressed then, I assume?
Just the reserves need to be, if there were any questions, that's a resolution coming forward to council after this meeting. So if there's no questions, that's fine. It'll come forward to council. But if you had questions, I can probably answer them if you'd like me to.
Okay. Any questions regarding the reserves? Seeing none, enough.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll move on to number 9. Jen, back to you.
Actually, I'm back to you in the studio, Tim. Actually, I'm gonna toss this over to Annette. She's the one that got the breaking request, and I just want to make sure that you've got the email in front of you, Annette, and you can sort of speak to it. Time is of the essence.
Thank you. Yes, I do have the email in front of me. So I did receive, as you know, part of the Rural Mental Health Initiative, we are administering the funds for the coordinator. And so what the question is, I guess they're applying for additional funds through the Bell Let's Talk initiative. And so they're looking for someone to administer those funds. So they're not asking for us to contribute anything to the initiative, except of course in kind staff time to administer these funds to ensure that they get to the proper organization, which is benefiting our community and other communities surrounding us. So that's my question to you: is because the grant is due on the 15th and our meeting is on the 16th. It wouldn't have been any good to hold it off until then. So I try not to add things to council agenda at the last minute, but with that deadline date, I would ask if you would give us permission to administer that, give staff direction to do so, please.
My question is, Annette, if it does not put any extra burden, or if you're comfortable with taking on that responsibility, I'm all right with that. Brent is good. Jack? Thumbs up from Mayor Murphy and from Councillor Buchwald.
Nope.
Looking good. There's your direction, Annette.
Thank you.
That's great, guys. I know that that committee will be very pleased. I think that the application that they're going to put in will be for a substantial amount of money. So just so you're aware, this isn't, I don't think that they're looking for $5,000. So I think knowing and being a part of this particular committee and the rapid speed and the amount of emails that go back and forth and the sheer passion for ensuring that this is a constant in Bonachere Valley is it's really inspiring, guys. It's really, really, really inspiring. And I've had a few people, and I'm not going to name names, that have had some mental health issues that have been exacerbated by COVID, and they are so pleased that this was stood up right here as a grassroots movement in Eganville. So thanks for your support, guys.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions regarding? Okay, so our next meeting date is on March 16th. Is that correct? Okay, and we're going to go to the media session. Open it up for media. I see no media. I guess we'll move that one along rather quickly. And that's it. Can I get someone to give me a move to adjourn the meeting? Brent, all in favor?
See you at 5:30.
You guys at 5:30.